Man, we just got some breaking news, everybody. So, before I get on with the topic of this video, I do want to say I was originally planning to upload this video in September, maybe at the end of August, but honestly, the news is just so great. Like, it's so amazing to see something like this, and the fact that YouTube actually did their job for once in their entire life, at least from what I'm aware of. I am just so damn glad to see that the Actman has been remonetized, and Quantum TV's quest to get the Actman removed from YouTube permanently, he failed. So I hate to break it to Quantum TV, but his conquest to get rid of the Actman, he failed. So I will say this right now. If you want to see the video for the Actman being remonetized, it will obviously be linked down below in the description. I highly recommend you go check him out. He's actually become one of my favorite content creators since I heard the whole debate when this all started a few months ago, and I am honestly I'm glad, I'll be honest, like I said before, I don't really like talking negatively about other content creators or other content creators in general, but man, to see YouTube actually do their job for once, at least from what I'm aware of, I'm just so glad to see that the Act Man is finally been remonetized. So now he can make a living again, and that's amazing. And obviously, Quantum TV doesn't like that, and he doesn't like the fact that he's been remonetized and all that stuff. He's always been a man like, oh, if you use my intellectual property against me, I'm gonna make sure you're off the platform forever, or you can't say anything mean about me because if you do, I'll make sure you're off the platform for harassment and hate speech. So it's pretty obvious. I mean, at this point, we all know about the Quantum TV situation. Whether I talked about it, whether another popular person's talked about it, like Review Tech USA or Optimus or the Act Man who's been affected by this for the whole thing to even begin with. But man, I'm just gonna say this right now. Quantum TV can go suck the Act Man's balls because he's been remonetized. He's actually back on the platform making content, and I'm just really glad to see this happen. I'm so glad to see that the Act Man has finally returned and he's actually making videos again. So that's great. And honestly, I will give credit where credit's due. I'm glad to see YouTube has finally remonetized the Actman's channel. And of course, I believe the warning is still up because I believe once you get hit with like a warning or a strike, it's permanent. So I do believe he does still need to be more careful from my understanding. But honestly, I don't think anything could escalate this far. And if it does, then something is seriously wrong at YouTube. But more importantly, as of now, it's good to see that things are finally back on track for the Act Man, so that's really good on him. But let me give you the short story of how this all started. I don't know if I brought this up in the last video I talked about Quantum TV, but I'm going to give you all a recap just in case if I have or if I have not. Quantum TV made a video on his review for Elden Ring Hot Takes, and the Actman called him out saying, hey, that video that you made, Mr. Quantum, was pretty terrible. A lot of people disagree with you, and so do I. So we're going to call you out for your horrible hot takes. And the big nuclear bomb that was set off here was Quantum TV didn't like the fact that people were calling him out saying, oh, you can't call me out because that's criticism. You're not allowed to criticize me. I'm a perfect god among people. Well, here's the thing. Nobody fucking cares, Quantum TV. If you don't like getting criticized, then like I said before, if you don't like getting criticized by other people, then maybe YouTube is not the platform for you. And trust me, I've been criticized many times before. A good prime example, and I'm gonna keep bringing this up. Back in my video when I made the Overwatch voice actress who was murdered by a complete psychopath. A lot of people criticized me because I should have phrased what I said a little more carefully. I should have been a little more stern. I should have been more assertive and I should have been more upset. And those people that called me out in that video, they were right. They were straight up right. And I am going to use that as a lesson to myself saying, okay, I better be careful of what I say and I better phrase what I'm trying to say more carefully. And I'm glad that these people called me out because now I'm trying to be a little bit more careful and I'm taking in advice. And you know what? That's not a bad thing, because criticism is actually a good thing. Am I upset about this? No, of course not. I'm actually glad that this is a thing. I'm glad to see people criticize me, because I'm glad to see that there's actual feedback, and I'm glad to see that I'm taking it into action. But here, Quantum TV doesn't like that. He doesn't like how people are criticizing him. So this has been going on for a long time, because anyone who tries to criticize Quantum TV, the Quantum TV guy immediately runs to YouTube like a crybaby, complaining that these people are harassing him for hate speech and all that stuff, just because he gets criticized. And the Act Man was calling him out, saying he was a copyright abuser, which is obviously 100% true, and I full-heartedly agree with the Act Man, and the entire YouTube community agrees with the Act Man as well. And the fact that Quantum TV didn't like that, how he didn't like getting criticized or called out by the Act Man and everyone else on the platform, he immediately tried to file a copyright claim on the Act Man, and that didn't go well the first time. And he got upset, and he decided to take things further, and he doubled down, and things took a turn for the worst. I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole personal life and all that stuff. I mean, yes, he has gone super far as to calling his family and doxing his family, which personally, in my opinion, I think it's a terrible thing. I don't know what kind of human being you have to be, but I'm not going to get into that whole debacle. But all I'm going to say is it's terrible. I don't see why people have to do it. And anyone who does do stuff like that, they honestly should be ashamed of themselves, especially Quantum TV, because apparently he's a not only just a crazy guy, but in my opinion, I would argue to say he's quite the stalker and quite the psychopath. But I digress. Anyway, the point is, Quantum TV has failed in his campaign to get the Act Man kicked off the platform, and he has failed to get the Act Man demonetized. So YouTube, it's finally siding with the Act Man in terms of remonetizing his channel. So I don't know if this battle between the Act Man and Quantum TV will still continue. So if it does, I would not be surprised if this goes into legal court and all that stuff. Because if you ask me personally, I'm still waiting for that to happen. I'm still waiting for the Act Man to take Quantum to court. And if that ever happens, it's going to be funny to watch, and I am going to watch every second of it. No, but on a real note, if things do escalate even further, I wouldn't be surprised if some legal actions were taken here. So, Quantum TV, I hate to break it to you, but your campaign to get the Act Man kicked off of YouTube failed. And until something magnificent happens to the point where Quantum TV gets permanently kicked off the platform for all the bad things he has done, I'm not making another video about Quantum TV and his terrible takes and all that stuff. So, good news, the Act Man is back, and I couldn't be more happier. Bad news, Quantum TV is still on the platform, and I still think that he needs to be removed for the actions and consequences he has done. So, like I said already, until something magnificent happens to where Quantum TV gets kicked off YouTube, I'm not making another video about this topic. So, good job, Act Man. I'm glad to see that you're back, and I will still support you in any way I can as a viewer and a subscriber. So, with that being said, thank you guys all for listening, and until next time, you guys, I'm glad to see the Act Man has been remonetized, and I'm glad to see he's making videos again, and I'll see you all later.